My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you. Hello everyone, thank you for joining our webinar today. On a little side note, this was actually our most registered webinar that we've ever done. My background's also a little bit different. I'm at my parents' house. I was stuck due to weather delays from a flight. Just came back from India. And I'm gonna share my screen so we can end up starting. So as I mentioned, it was the most registered webinar we've ever had. I think a little bit more than 6,000 registered attendees. We're going to be breaking down today what we learned in 2022 and where search is going in 2023. So this is going to be a fun topic for us. As you guys all know, we love search from ads to SEO, and we think it's one of the most important channels out there because, as you guys know, Google, most people start their online experiences with search. A little about me. My name is Neil Patel. I'm the co-founder of our ad agency, NP Digital. We help companies both large and small from all over the world help grow their traffic. We're a global agency. We see a lot of data, not just from our clients, but from our tools like Uber Suggest, Answer the Public. We see all sides of marketing, from helping clients to also doing marketing on our own site, and also from the platforms end as well, because sometimes we work with like the Facebooks and the Googles, so we see how they think about things as well, which really gives us some amazing insights on not just what's happened, but where things are going in the future as well. So you guys know a little bit about me. I've worked with David and Colin for a while now. They've been with the firm. David's been with the firm since early days, and Colin's been with the firm, I think, a few years now. But Dave, you want to kick it off and give a quick intro on yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Neil. So my name is David Shapiro. I oversee the earned media team here at NP Digital. I've been in the industry for around 15 years, and as Neil mentioned, I've been with the agency for 4 years, and I'm really excited about this conversation and this presentation today.
And quickly, you want to tell people what you mean when you say you oversee earned media?
Yeah, great call. So earned media here at NP Digital comprises SEO, content marketing, digital PR, and email marketing as well, and also influencer and organic social. So really anything that is earned, falls under earned media.
Yeah. And then we have Colin.
Thanks for
want to go?
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Neil. My name's Colin Cornwell. I'm the VP of Growth Marketing at NP Digital. Gosh, I'm dating myself here along with the gray hair. 25 years, started off creating websites, brought a newspaper from offline to online, and then spent the last 19 years in agency land. And I'm really excited about the topic. Search is sort of my bread and butter, and hopefully y'all like what we have to say. Thanks for having me.
So as I mentioned, we're a global agency. We've won a lot of awards from the Inc. fastest growing company to Adweek's, fastest growing agencies to best places to work. We won awards like for best SEO campaigns of the year, best paid advertising campaign of the year, and the list goes on and on. We have quite a bit of clients. We're actually now in 8 countries. We just expanded to Singapore. I think by the end of this year, we'll probably be in 20 plus countries. We work with large brands from, again, all over the world. And this helps us see a ton of data on not just what's happening with algorithms and changes, but what's also working in the future, because we're running a lot of experiments at the same time. So the reason we did this research is the main thing is like a lot of people don't have access to the data that we have. So we didn't want you guys to have to figure out, all right, what do I need to do in 2023 to succeed? We just want to spoon feed it to you. So that way you're like, okay, here's what happened in 2022. And here's why they're making these changes. Oh, and this makes sense on why they're moving this way forward in the future. So now, whether you work with our ad agency, NP Digital, or you're on a bootstrap budget and you just have to do it yourself, at least you'll have a really good path on what you should be focusing on and what you should be doing this year. So that way you can get better results and waste less time. That's the main reason we want to do this research. We want to bring it to the masses and help companies of all sizes. It doesn't matter if you have multi-billion-dollar budgets or no budgets. We want to make things easier for you. So that way you can start off 2023 on the right foot. So it's really important when David, Colin, and I break some of these things down. Just keep in mind, these are data driven. We've gathered a lot of these insights and tested based on this. We've talked to a lot of the platforms. We know what's happening. So just make sure if you follow this, you should do well this year.
And so before we start talking about, what we think is going to be the most impactful set of activities to focus on for 2023, we want to start by looking back at what were some of the major trends from the past year. And we're really going to focus in on 3 of them because there's so many that happen every year, right? There was, Google makes about 4,000 updates to the way that they rank websites every single year. Now, of course, they don't telegraph all of those. They're not crystal clear on what all of those changes are, but there are certainly a few that we want to highlight here that were 3 of the larger ones that took place in 2022. And the 3 that we want to really focus on are the product review update, the May core algorithm update, and then the September helpful content update. So the product review updates are really focused around better identifying high quality reviews and rewarding sites that actually have a higher percentage of higher quality reviews, right? So if you are an e-commerce site and you're trying to gain more visibility, getting a higher quantity and quality of reviews is really something to focus on. Google continues to get better at how they're able to tell, whether reviews are of high quality or not. And so, really focusing on generating more high quality reviews is something that can help drive visibility, going forward. The May core algorithm update was obviously pretty big as well. These core algorithm updates are opportunities for marketers to see their visibility go up. You usually see visibility improvements or decreases as part of these core algorithm updates. So, it's really important to do all that you can ahead of time to make sure that you're more likely to be rewarded as part of these core algorithm updates than see your website decrease in visibility. Now, these core algorithm updates tend to be tough to understand what the specific signals are that Google is looking to influence in those moments. And so, for the May core algorithm update, it seemed like site speed and performance, was definitely something where if your site was loading quickly, a lot of those types of websites seem to see improvements in visibility. And then, backlinks and, just better content, right? So in a lot of ways, doing more things correctly, a lot of little things correctly are going to drive more visibility for your website. And then, the helpful content update was really important as well in September, really focused on content that Google believed was written for people and written by people. One of the things that we'll be talking a lot about a little bit later is the rise of AI content. And so Google is continually trying to understand how they're able to better surface content that's written by humans for humans. And so, really thinking about how you can, use more first-person experience. one of the things Colin's going to be talking about a little bit later too is the additional E on EAT. So really focusing on creating content that's clearly written by a human, but for your human audience, is really going to help set you apart going forward as well.
And speaking of the March update that Dave was talking about, I want you to think about this one thing. When you buy anything from e-commerce, whether it's Amazon or any website out there, or Walmart or Flipkart or whatever it may be that you prefer shopping on, if a product has little to no reviews, you're probably less likely to buy it versus a product that has 1,000 reviews and it's a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Reviews are super important. And just think about it this way, not just for e-commerce goods, but anything, service-based businesses, anything that can be reviewed, restaurants. It doesn't matter how much SEO someone does. If the reviews are crap, they're not going to want to buy that product or eat there or hire that company for services. Instead, they want to focus on the companies that have amazing reviews, amazing products, again, based on reviews. So that's a really important factor for Google to include, because you can have the most amount of backlinks, you can have the best on-page SEO, the fastest site speed, but if your product and service sucks and the reviews show it, why would Google want to rank it? Because users don't want to end up using that product or buying from you because it's not going to give them what they're looking for. So you need to get reviews, but not just reviews. You need them in mass quantity and you need good quality ones. So make sure you incentivize your audience to leave reviews. Some platforms don't allow this, so make sure you read their terms and service. Some platforms do when it comes to reviews. You want to make sure that you build your presence on Google My Business, optimize it, all the other local directories as well that's relevant to you. You also want to leverage UGC. And when I say that is, let's say you have a product that you're selling, like a makeup box or a beauty box. Someone could do an unboxing reveal, talk about how they put on their makeup and blend the makeup in with their face, or like create lines or whatever people do with makeup and show how to use the products or how to use the nail polish or the right strokes you should make with nail polish. It actually is much harder than most people think to put on nail polish. I do it with my 3-year-old. But, it's like unboxing and showing how to use a product. That's huge. It ends up causing more people to buy it because it's authentic. It doesn't need to be a professional camera that people are using or studio quality. Just people want authentic, real content, real reviews. And it really helps people make their purchasing decisions. The rough stat that you should know is 87% of consumers read online reviews before making a purchase, right? So that's how important reviews will be for you.
And, video continues to be something that all marketers should really think about and invest in going forward. In 2022, we saw, excuse me, a big pivot to video in a lot of different ways. So, there's so many different ways to think about video and incorporate it into your overall marketing strategy, right? So obviously, social media has been huge. Has been a huge driver of demand for video content. You have platforms like TikTok and Instagram that obviously are leaning into video in a major way. And as more audiences start to gravitate, or I shouldn't say start to, because they've been there for a little bit, but as more audiences, start to utilize those platforms, obviously video should be a bigger part of your marketing strategy. And so you can see that second bullet point, over 80% of marketers point to video as a significant source of traffic and sales. And the real question that marketers are asking themselves is what type of video marketing is best, right? Should you build a YouTube channel? Should you leverage video testimonials on your landing pages? Should you create video guides for your products? And or should you create short form content, right? In a lot of ways, the answer is yes to all of them. Leaning into video in 2023 is going to be really important for marketers. I think you're going to start to see Google look to surface short form video a lot more in their search results. Obviously, you have TikTok becoming a more of an overall search engine for Gen Z. And so video is something that's not going away. It's going to increase in importance. And the more that you're able to lean into video as a brand, the more likely it is you'll be able to see success in the future.
And here's a great case study by Asana. Asana is a project management tool created by one of the Facebook co-founders, Dustin, I forgot his last name. They're a publicly traded company. They've been growing at a nice rapid pace. And they have a really cool YouTube channel, and I highly recommend that people check it out because it doesn't just showcase a product and talk about why you should buy it, but they talk about, product tips. They talk about things like how to use the product. They talk to you guys about how to do project management more efficiently and just giving you tips on how to improve the efficiency within your own organization when it comes to employees working on any task that they're trying to accomplish. So they're creating content that doesn't just promote their product, but they're creating video content that helps you do a better job with whatever you're trying to accomplish, because every business has tasks that they're trying to complete. And Asana wants you to complete those tasks in a more efficient manner. So think about it this way. These videos are making you more efficient. If you're becoming more efficient and getting value from these videos and tips, what are you going to do? You're more likely to sign up for Asana software and use their project management suite, because it, in theory, should then even make you more efficient. In other words, they're offering a ton of value through video, and then from there, they're selling you on their product indirectly. And it's worked well. For a B2B company, they have 34,000 subscribers. That's nothing to joke about. The last time I checked, they're a multi-billion-dollar company that's publicly traded. I don't know what their value is today, but either way, they do hundreds of millions in revenue, and they're still growing at a rapid pace.
So technical SEO and core web vitals are another area that continue to be of the utmost importance to marketers that are trying to rank well in Google. As we talked about a little bit earlier, the core algorithm update in May, one of the big things that we saw there was sites that tended to have better performance scores, tended to rank better as part of that update. So, really leaning into optimizing your core web vital score is something that can be useful for a lot of marketers going forward and really trying to maximize your visibility in Google. Now, there are definitely some terms that we want to go over as they relate to core web vitals that we think marketers should really be focused on, because you can find these in Google Search Console too, and they can help you understand how you're doing, right? So largest contentful paint is really the amount of time that it takes for the largest image or text block to be visible. So, how quickly are you able to see the main part of the page, right? And so optimizing for that is obviously really important. First input delay, right? How long it takes for the website to respond to the first interaction, right? So if you click a link, does the website respond right away? Obviously, if it doesn't, that creates a poor user experience, and that user could potentially bounce back to the search results and go somewhere else. Or they might not have an experience, or they might not have a good experience on your website, and they could potentially leave and ultimately never come back. Cumulative layout shift is kind of how much things change on load. So I'm sure you guys have all had this experience where, you're using your phone and you're about to click something, but something changes at the last minute. And so, you're going either to a different link that you didn't intend to click, or something else happens that wasn't what you intended, again, creating a negative experience and potentially causing you to leave that website. First contentful paint, right, is how long, the page takes from the initial load to kind of the first rendered content. So the first thing that you see, how quickly that takes, that's obviously something very important as well. Time to first byte, that really measures how your server is doing. So how quickly is your server able to respond to the request that they're getting? And then DOM content loaded, right? So how long does it take for the overall document to load overall? So these are, 6 data points that are probably worth looking at. So much of this information can be gained from looking at Google Search Console. And this is one of those things that if you don't focus on it, or if your site is scoring pretty low in these, that you're putting yourself at risk of being negatively impacted by future algorithm updates, right? So as I was saying earlier, these algorithm updates, like the core algorithm updates that we saw in May, right? This is when all of the work that you've done in the past kind of comes into play, right? So if you've done a good job of optimizing, your core web vital scores and your site loads quickly, then it's more likely than not that as part of those core algorithm updates that you're going to see a positive bump. But if your site continues to score poorly in these factors, then it's very possible that as part of these core algorithm updates or product review updates or whatever it may be, that you might see a decrease in visibility. So so much of being, sound as it relates to core web vitals is preventing future harm from your website. And, that means so much. And so the more that you're able to do today to prevent harm in the future is definitely an activity worth doing. And, if you want our team to take a look at your technical SEO performance or your core web vitals specifically, there's a link and there's a QR code to have us do that. We have a dedicated technical SEO team here at NP Digital. They call themselves the Nerd Herd. This is all they do every day. Look at performance, look at technical site health, and they would be more than happy to have a look at your website as well.
There's gold in them SERPs. What does that mean? What it means to us is that there's tons of opportunity these days to make sure that content on your website and your social spaces, where have you, there's lots of opportunity to have that content now show up in the search engine result pages. If you're old like me and you were doing this back in 1998, we were dealing with 10 blue links. You can go right now to Google and do a query for Google in 1998. That's what the search results look like in 1998. Things have changed a lot, and there's lots of opportunity. So when we're talking about gold in them SERPs, we're talking about make sure that you have the right structured data, that you have the page laid out properly. At the end of the day, zero-click content is taking over. If you don't know what that means, that's when you do a search on Google and the answer is presented right there for the user, and there's really no need to click through to the website. 25.6% of desktop searches and about 17% of mobile searches actually have zero-click content. This is a huge opportunity for not only branding, but for things like voice search. Alexa, Google Home, Siri, you name it. If you have that top spot, chances are you're also going to get the voice search result. As David mentioned, the pivot to video is huge. There's so many functions and there's so much going on in Google, particularly in mobile. As I mentioned before, and I think Neil even said, Google My Business is huge. The use of schema, making sure that you're getting the visibility you need within the knowledge graph. These are all things that are huge opportunities for marketers. And again, it's beyond nowadays those traditional 10 blue links when you go and do that Google Easter egg for Google in 1998. So lots of opportunity and stuff that we all need to be taking advantage of.
And one quick thing is when Colin's talking about zero-click content, an extreme example of this is like Las Vegas weather, or you searching for the weather wherever you are, you get the result without clicking on a weather website, or if you type in what's 2 + 2. But what he's talking about with like zero content takeover and it being useful for branding, a lot of people Google like how Google's algorithm works or how SEO works or what is SEO. And you can end up getting the result without clicking on a website, which is also great for branding, which is what he's talking about.
Absolutely. So 5 must-know terms for search success and some of the things that I mentioned on the previous slide. Featured snippets. This is all about making sure you have the right schema and markup. It's pulling content, out of the web page and putting it on the SERP. At the end of the day, Google's going from a search engine to an answer engine, whether that's good or bad. We think it's good, and there's lots of opportunities there. I mentioned the knowledge graph. The knowledge graph's a basic overview of a lot of different things, a topic, a person, an entity. A lot of that information sometimes is fed by wiki. But if this goes back to technical SEO and some of the things that David was speaking to. If you set your website and your web pages up properly and you have the right schema, the right markup, the right code, that's what triggers some of these rich snippets and some of the knowledge graph results. The SERPs are definitely getting more visual. There's all sorts of product ads and image listings, carousels, and all sorts of stuff. There's a slide later on in the presentation that talks about what we can do to things like images to make sure that's optimized and presents more opportunities. And short videos, David did mention this as well. There are tons of short videos already on mobile SERPs. So taking advantage of that, chopping up, big videos into short videos, there's all sorts of things that we can do. to take care and to take advantage of these opportunities. And the related searches, I mean, if you're looking for a content strategy, don't just always focus on the one query that you're going after. Look at what Google's coming back with, because that's what people are actually searching for. And if that's what they're searching for, it's really important for you as a brand to meet that content need and to gain that opportunity. So where SEO is headed in 2023, we've talked a lot about looking back and some of the changes that we've seen in 2022. A big one is augmented reality. That's really starting to take shape. A couple of years ago, I think it's been 3 or 4 years now, we've seen dogs in search results. We saw Simone Biles in search results. A lot of these, again, were mobile enabled. You can go open up Google right now on your mobile device and search for golden retriever or your favorite dog breed. You can literally put that dog, in your room to see how big it is, what it looks like. That's pretty cool stuff. That's been going on for quite some time, but Google has said publicly that they are going to continue to do more of this. And, one of the big areas that they're really looking to is what they're going to be doing with mobile. Back to mobile devices and local. If you have updated business listings, if you have the right schema and you have the right markup, there's going to be lots of opportunities in 2023 to make that mobile experience specific to local a much better one. So something to look forward to in 2023. And I think we have a slide on it as well. Yeah. So, I mean, every company is doing some of the things that I mentioned, whether it's Wayfair, Amazon's doing a lot of the stuff where you can see, the product image, right in your space. So AR is definitely huge. I think it was November of 2022 when Google said they're going to be doing a lot within Google Maps. So again, I don't know if you guys have seen old school virtual reality tours. That's what Maps is going to end up being like. When you're walking down, looking at your phone and you're trying to get directions to your favorite brick and mortar, you're going to have hot spots, right within the mobile device to click in and see what's going on right within that store. I think the biggest impact is absolutely going to be local SEO. So making sure your business listings has everything that needs to be there. If you have business listings, this is going to be a huge opportunity. It's not just changing what we see AR, it's really going to start changing, how we search as individuals. So I said it before, optimize your images. We talk a lot about content and web pages and title tags and meta descriptions and all of these other things, but making sure, and it's kind of funny because we talk about load speed and having awesome core web vitals on the .com experience, so you really can't be using high res images, but within Google My Business, you absolutely can. And it's not just the images, it's making sure that the alternative text, AKA the alt text, is also as descriptive as it can be so that those screen readers, can understand what that image is about. Now, think of it this way, your content has to be helpful for your audience, for your web pages to rank for your audiences. Your images need to basically do the same thing.
All right. Not sure if anybody that's tuning in has heard of ChatGPT. I'm sure you have, though, because it's probably the biggest story in marketing overall, right? But in one of the things that I think is worth noting, though, is that it's not just ChatGPT, right? I mean, there's if you think about it, right? I mean, even before Google, there was Lycos, there was Excite, there was AltaVista, right? So, well, ChatGPT is definitely the first one that most people know. By no means is it going to be the only one that exists, right? This is also an area where Google is certainly going to have their own version of what ChatGPT is, and there's going to be a lot of other competitors in this space to help marketers and really all knowledge workers take advantage of this technology. So, wanted to do a little bit of fact or fiction here around this type of technology, right? So, really generative like AI is what ChatGPT is, right? So it helps you create content. And so looking at that first one, right? Fact or fiction, AI is going to replace all writers. The answer is no, right? It's definitely not going to replace all writers. emotion and first-person experience are going to be even more important for content going forward. And as AI becomes kind of the bar, if you will, it's all the little things that you're able to do to your content above that bar that are going to determine how successful your content is, right? So how much are you able to lean into your experience and your expertise, right? How much are you able to show emotion? How much are you able to actually, resonate with your audience? So the more that you're able to do that, the more likely your content is to succeed. And the AI writers are not able to do that as of now, right? So definitely, it can replace, some writers for some things. It's definitely not going to replace all writers. But it certainly can be leveraged for content creation, unquestionably, right? So, if you think about how to best utilize the technology, I think, there's the ideation component, right? It can come up with a lot of ideas, and it can create a really good first draft very quickly, right? If you think about the content production process overall, so much time is spent coming up with that first draft, right? So going from 0 to 1. And that's what this technology allows you to do, right? With just a single prompt, which takes a couple seconds, you can have this technology create, whatever it is that you're asking it to, whether it's a series of tweets, a blog post, a long form article. It can get you from 0 to 1, right? Which is a very important thing. So definitely utilize it for content creation, but also realize its limitations, which are the fact that it doesn't really know who your audience is. It doesn't really know how to speak to your audience in a way that you do. And so there's definitely some limitations there. And then, last but not least, right, fact or fiction, ChatGPT is the only game in town, as I mentioned earlier. It's not. There's going to be so many competitors that are coming into the space, which is going to be great for marketers and knowledge workers. We're going to be able to see a lot of innovation in this space. I think the things that it's going to be able to do are going to increase, right? So right now, it's mostly text to text. But, of course, there are things, like DALL-E 2 and stuff like that, are text to image. And then, of course, at some point, we're going to have, text to video. So it's going to be easier to create content in all formats. And ChatGPT is not going to be the only game in town. This is also an area that we're investing in as a brand too, right? So within Uber Suggest, there's an AI writing tool that can help you with whatever it may be, right? Blog topics, subject headings, meta descriptions, whatever it is that you're looking for. Our AI tool can help you with that. So I would encourage everybody that's tuning in to have a look at Uber Suggest AI writing tool. It's definitely an opportunity to create content in a little bit less time. Now, of course, what we're not asking you to do is just use that directly on your website as is. Definitely take a look at it, edit it as you see fit, and definitely, make sure that the content that you're creating is a good fit for your audience. So the next thing is really the idea of brand and search, right? I mean, for anybody that's been doing SEO long enough, they realize the importance of having a solid brand in your ability to rank well in organic search results. Of course, Google in a lot of ways is looking to rank brands because people are looking for brands. One of the examples that I always like to use is if you're doing a search for shoes and like some of the major brands don't show up, like Nike, Adidas, Reebok, whoever it may be, then Google looks bad in that moment, right? So Google's trying to understand for a given query who the brands are that should rank, and they're trying to make sure that those brands show up in some capacity. So branding and search are always going to be tied together, because the bigger that your brand is, the more likely you are to be able to rank for a lot of those high volume queries that you're ultimately going to want to rank for as you're trying to understand what queries might be the most impactful to your business. Now, one of the kind of more interesting ways to think about your brand and build your brand is by thinking about your future customers, right? And so much of the customer of the future is Gen Z, right? And they're utilizing TikTok not only to watch videos, but they're utilizing it as a search engine. And I'm not sure how many of y'all that are tuning in have paid attention to the recent Yandex leak, where Yandex was talking about all of the ranking factors that they look at, but they did have some entries in there for TikTok, right? So, Yandex certainly isn't Google, there's a lot to be taken from that leak that I think can be used to inform how Google's looking at things. And they were looking at TikTok, and it would be no surprise that if Google was looking at the same thing. Among Gen Z users, TikTok ranks number 1 on the list of media usage per minute, and you'll see that Google ranks 5th, right? Now, does this mean to stop focusing on Google and focus only on TikTok? No, of course not, right? Because, in the present, there are still obviously a ton of people utilizing Google and going to Google to try to answer their questions, right? But as you think about what your audience is going to look like over the next 5-10 years, right? TikTok is going to be a bigger share of that overall pie. So, definitely something to be conscious of, and definitely an area to think about investing future marketing dollars. And TikTok, definitely isn't the only social media platform to be conscious of. There's definitely a lot to be thinking about, right? I mean, every network has their own, set of signals to focus on, right? I mean, and I know we've talked about Google a lot, because anytime you talk about SEO and organic search, obviously Google is the 800-pound gorilla. But, you should be cautious of all the other networks and platforms that your audience might be using, and be conscious of the signals that those platforms are rewarding, so you can make it more likely that your content shows up well for your audience on those platforms, right? So, when you're thinking about Instagram, right, looking at post format, post time and frequency, engagement, right, looking at LinkedIn, utilizing videos, comments and shares, not posting links, because LinkedIn has, or there's been studies that have shown that, if you post links in your LinkedIn post, that they're likely, or they're less likely to do well. YouTube really leans into how your videos do shortly after launch. So if they do well early on, that could lead to the video having longevity. If they don't do well early on, might be a little bit harder to get that push. TikTok, really looking at things like account followed, content created, likes, shares, things like that. And then Facebook, of course, right? Interactions from followers, overall engagement, so on and so forth, right? So every single one of these platforms, in a lot of ways, they're trying to figure out the same thing that Google is, right? I mean, we spend so much time as SEOs dissecting how Google ranks websites. It's probably worth investing, at least some time into the other platforms as well, because they're also trying to understand, for a given search or for a given user that has a certain history, what is the content that is most likely to resonate well with that audience, right? And so they're always trying to figure out what those, how to tweak those signals to make sure that their audience is getting the content that they're looking for, that they have a good experience, and they ultimately come back. So the better that you're able to understand those signals that are driving visibility on those platforms, again, the more likely it is that you're able to be successful. And, here's just an example or a case study, I should say, of us helping, one of our clients, with driving organic results, by helping out their brand, right? So, the client overall was lacking organic visibility, so we relied on a lot of paid search data to understand what are those keywords that we should be focusing on, because they've done well in paid, right? Now, this isn't, true 100% of the time, but I'd say probably 80 to 90% of the time, if a keyword does well in paid, it's probably likely to drive positive outcomes if you rank for it organically as well. So we really prioritize those keywords, right? And we scored them based on impressions, click-through rate, CPC, conversions, over the last 30 days. And then we figured out what content we needed to create in order to give ourselves the best chance of being visible for those keywords, right? So, what is the intent of those keywords? How competitive are they? How do we create a depth of content, to show search engines that we were experts, for that topic? And, last but not least, how are we able to utilize digital PR and utilize awareness to really help promote that content, right? I mean, it's only going to get you so far if you create content and don't promote it. As it becomes easier to create content, it's going to be more important to have some awareness signals around your content, some engagement signals. So the more links that you're able to have around your content, the more shares that you're able to get of your content on those networks that we just talked about, right? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, wherever it is your audience spends time, the more that your content is shared on those platforms, the more likely it is that you're able to see organic search success, right? So, we were able to do that for this client, and the results, of course, as you see in the bottom right, speak for themselves, right? So, just a massive increase in top 3 positions in Google. We saw a huge increase as well in organic search traffic year over year. Number of referring domains was up 218%. And then, of course, the outcome that we were trying to drive is conversions. And we saw a 260% increase in conversions by doing all of those things that we just mentioned, right? So, the more that you're able to help, your website or your clients, if, you have clients, then, the more that you're able to help them, create great content, understand the right keywords, and ultimately get links and social signals to your content, the more likely it is you're able to be successful, as we were successful here with this client in this example.
Another big trend and strategy for 2023 is prioritizing long tail keywords. I can't say how critical it is. On the previous slide, David mentioned, or on that slide, it mentioned head terms. We're not saying that you shouldn't be focusing on head terms. What we are saying is that there are so many long tail terms that oftentimes do not get prioritized. Oftentimes we're not checking rank of those terms. And that's really where the money is in 2023. If we could go to the next slide. This is absolutely critical. I mean, they've been trending long and longer for quite some time. Google said just last year that 15% of all Google searches done every single day are brand new. And of those brand new queries, they average between 3 and 6 words apiece. So this is pretty important. The competition for those head terms is super heavy. It's hard to rank for some of these, top of the funnel terms. There's stiff competition, across the board in every industry, every vertical. And the long tail keywords allow marketers to get a bit more granular. It helps with things like I mentioned before, like voice search. It allows you, to focus on hitting your potential customers at every stage through the buying cycle, which is absolutely critical. And at the end of the day, yes, search volume for the longer terms is going to be less, but guess what? It's more honed in and the conversion rates are going to be quite a bit higher. A tool that we're using a lot of is Answer the Public. It's ours. I mean, if you're looking for ways to start with a head term and generate, large lists of relevant longer tail queries, Answer the Public is a great place to start. And then, oh, by the way, maybe ChatGPT or some AI writers and Ubersuggest can actually be a great place to start creating content for those longer tail terms. At the end of the day, to be relevant for some of those head terms that are super competitive, the more longer tail content you have that's associated with those head terms, the more relevant you're going to be for those head terms. So this is a big thing that we've seen for quite some time, and it's only going to get bigger in 2023 for sure.
All right. Speaking of something that's going to get bigger in 2023, is GA4. The clock is ticking. You have about 6 months to set up GA4. Otherwise, you're not going to have any data, and there's no reason as a marketer that you should be flying blind. Really ever. So definitely want to do what you can over the next 6 months to transition to GA4. Now, if you're a Universal Analytics 360 customer, then you actually do have a little bit more time. I think they rolled that back to July of 2024, actually. But for most people, July 2023 is when Google's officially sunsetting the previous version of analytics, right? So, what's great about GA4 is it goes from a session-based tracking analytics platform to an events-based one, which definitely is going to offer additional insights. And so, there's a lot of new dashboards, a lot of new metrics, and a lot of new methods, that I think marketers want to pay attention to get all they can out of the platform going forward. Now, we have a checklist here. That there's a lot of things on here. Not going to go through all of them for the sake of time, but definitely as we'll send out this deck or you'll have access to it. Definitely look at how to set up your GA4 instance. And there, on the next slide, there's actually 3 probably core things to focus on as it relates to GA4, right? So you're going to want to view your traffic, you're going to want to view your events, and you're going to want to view your engagement, right? So traffic is found under the report section. That snapshot users link is really ultimately how you're able to see your traffic. Again, some of the things are called or they're named differently in GA4 than they were in GA3. So, if you want to view events, right, you're going to have to go to the reports tab, click on the engagement overview, and then select events. And then if you're looking at engagement, again, the reports tab, and then the engagement overview section. So these are three things that you'll probably want to be interested in as it relates to, marketing performance going forward and how to find them in GA4.
And we'd be remiss to talk about search without talking a little bit, at least, about paid search. Primarily, we've been talking about content, SEO, technical, and how to get the organic visibility. But paid search is half the SERP, essentially, and it's something that we need to make sure that we focus on. So we've got 5 actionable tips for staying ahead of the game in 2023 when it comes to paid search. Tip number 1, user privacy changes. I mean, that's why GA4 that's why David's talking about this, is cookies are going away. Similar audiences are sunsetting in 2023. It's actually making paid search and some of the paid media activities a little bit more difficult, but there's stuff that we need to stay on top of, specifically around privacy changes. And number 2 is Google enhanced conversions. I mean, this again is sort of related to the other. Privacy is a big thing. And with Google enhanced conversions, you're basically getting the same capabilities without any of the user privacy concerns that are so important to everybody. And number 3, we talk a lot about Google, we've talked a lot about organic. Let's not forget about Microsoft and some of the other search engines out there. There was a pretty big acquisition not too long ago. They've got a partnership with Netflix. There's a lot going on over at Microsoft. They still have 8, 9, 10% of the market share, but we think that that's actually going to be increasing in 2023. So don't forget about Microsoft and some of the other engines that are out there. Number 4, building a strategic adoption plan for automation and AI. We talked about this earlier. I mean, yes, ChatGPT is great at writing content or helping us to get started writing content, but there's a lot of automation and machine learning that could be and should be leveraged within paid search. It just makes smart bidding smarter. It makes the conversions convert higher. It's just better to try and test what Google has to offer. Their algorithms are really good. Manual bidding sometimes works for some clients and customers, but automated bidding seems to be where the future is going. And then lastly, Performance Max. Performance Max, gives you the ability to scale across search and YouTube and the Google Display Network. It's sort of an omni-channel, omni-voice option. It actually last year became really popular. Most of our clients are running it, and we see that that's going to continue going into 2023 as well. So some of the tips to be aware of when it's coming to paid search. And then the anti-trend, this isn't a trend. It's something that always matters. We talked a lot about quality content. We talked about, AI writers can sort of do a first good draft, but the AI writers don't know what the brand message is. The AI writers don't know what calls to action we should maybe include. At the end of the day, having good quality content is really what you need to be successful in search, whether it's organic or paid. Next slide. They added another E. Did you miss this? E's been something we've been talking about in the SEO community for a long time. It's all revolving around Google's quality guidelines. This is sort of a big deal. The new E is experience. At the end of the day, Google wants to provide, and it's publicly noted, they want to provide the best user experience possible for people that are going to any Google product. So the experience is going to be key. The other E is expertise. This goes back to some of the previous slides. How do you become an expert in your space on your topic? That's something that Google's looking for. And if you can figure out a way to do that, then Google's going to reward you with higher rank. We talk all the time about backlinks, authority, links from good domains, from EDUs, orgs. That's still in play here. Having authoritative websites pointing to you, linking to you, talking about you, tweeting you, that's at the end of the day, what it comes down to. And David mentioned trust. We want brands to be the trusted source. That's what Google wants too. That's why people click on link number one, because everyone just assumes if Google trusts this, then I should probably trust it too. Those are the big things that did not change. We don't see them changing. And actually, they're probably just going to continue to become more important in 2023. Good quality
And one
content.
quick exactly. And one quick thing to add for experience that they added is just think about it this way. Let's say you're writing content or creating content around a medical treatment. Google will look at it as, hey, you're not a doctor. You don't have tons of authority in the space or trust, and that's okay. But as a patient, let's say you're going through a procedure, what's your experience like? Were you drowsy after the medication? How did you feel? Was it tough? Did you have energy? Those are things that AI writers, it would be hard for them to replicate when it comes to creating content. And the EEAT, it really makes content unique, and it's hard for AI writers, whether it's now or in the future, unless they're faking it, to really truly create unique content. But when you write content based on these variables, if you think about these four, it makes that content stand out. It makes people want to talk about it, link to it, share it. And that's also what causes you to rank higher. It's super important, and just keep that in mind. An AI writer can't create, your experience and put it into article. You can use the AI writer to kick things off, and then you can add in your experience or some of the other factors. But experience is something really, truly unique that Google's looking for in content.
Yeah,
so
also,
we're going to dive into Go ahead.
I was going to say, as it relates to experience, I know we talked about the product review update a little bit earlier, right? But a lot of the sites that were rewarded as part of that, they had, first person reviews, right? So they were leaning into the actual experience they had with the product. And that's one of those things that Google's able to understand pretty well. If you're doing product reviews and you don't actually have like images of, you using the product, or you're not able to convince search engines or users that you actually have experience with it, then you're less likely to be visible, so kind of tying it all the way back when we talked about the product review update, experience is vital, right? And the more that you're able to speak from a first person perspective about something, the more likely it is that your content is able to do well.
Yep. So, we'll dive into some questions, but if you guys want help with your marketing, you can visit npdigital.com, or you can just scan that QR code with your phone and you can end up scheduling a call with our team. Let's dive into some questions.
Hey, Neil, David, Colin, that was outstanding. Hey, everybody, I'm John Hoft. I'm from the partnership team here at NP Digital, and I'm here to help get a few of your questions answered. So first off, Katrina wants to know if you could say more about high quality reviews for e-commerce. Are you differentiating between product page reviews versus longer form article reviews? I think that's going to Neil.
It is any type of reviews. So when they're talking about reviews, if it's e-commerce specifically, they want to know what the product is like, and they want as many reviews as possible. It doesn't have to be long form. It has to be insightful. So a review that is 3 paragraphs long, but it doesn't really add any value, not useful. A review that is, a few words long that just like awesome product, not useful. A review that is insightful, saying great product, but when you're using it, you need to do A, B, and C, which the instructions don't tell to get it started. That's useful. Or if it says, hey, this product has an issue if you're using it with this other product, it creates some, issues when you blend both the products together and it doesn't work. Those are more useful reviews, and they don't have to be negative and they don't have to be positive, but anything that is useful is going to do better. It doesn't matter about the length. It matters how useful it is. And that could be really short or it could be really long.
Back to the experience comment, right? Like, did that user have an experience with that product or that location or whatever the case may be? I think that's one of the things that Google is absolutely rewarding is what was the experience, not just did you like it or not, Tell us a little bit more about it. What experience did you have with that product?
Great, thanks. Colin, I think I've got one more for you. Brian wants to know if we have reviews only accessible to our community, meaning you need to log in to read them. How do we mitigate that with these changes that Google has coming up?
That might be more of a David question. Sorry, David, but
Yeah.
I'll punt that one to the SEO expert for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you'll probably want to have some. They'll need to be accessible to search engines in some capacity, right? I mean, if it is behind a login, then search engines can't see it, and therefore you shouldn't expect to have visibility for anything in there. So, I don't know. I think some of this is also platform specific. So I'm not sure what platform you're using for the reviews, but there probably are ways to expose at least some of the reviews to search engines, or to non-logged in users, I should say, because a search engine in a lot of ways simulates a non-logged in user. So I would recommend working with your review provider to understand what the capabilities are to expose some of the review content to people that aren't logged in.
Great.
Even if it's just snippets, of each review that the engines can crawl, and then users have to log in to see the rest. It's no different than any sort of gated content, I think.
Yep.
Great. Maybe one more here for you, David. Is it important when it comes to SEO to have descriptions on social platforms for the videos as well? We know it works well on YouTube, but what about LinkedIn, social platforms, or even on your website?
Yeah. The answer is yes. It is helpful. It definitely provides text signals around what your content is about, and it just helps each of the platforms better understand, what your content might want to be surfaced for. So the more information that you're able to provide, a search engine or any platform, the more likely it is they're able to understand your content, and the more likely it is that they're able to surface it, right? I mean, so much of what internet marketers are trying to do is make it crystal clear to the platforms what their content is relevant for, and give them signals as to why they should or why the platform should reward that content with visibility. Right now, on the individual networks themselves, it's going to be heavily influenced by engagement signals, right? So how often your content's able to be liked, shared, things like that. But the more that search engines or really any platform is able to understand what your content is relevant for, the more likely they are to surface it. And having text descriptions is just one of those things that you can do to make it more likely that they comprehend what the content is specifically about.
Fantastic. Thanks, David. So we're at time. There's a lot more questions. Sorry we didn't get to them. I'd encourage you to reach out to me on LinkedIn if you'd like. I can work with these guys to get your answers. But right now I'm going to flip it over to Neil. Thanks.
Thank you guys for your time. I know this presentation was a bit longer, but we want to make sure we covered everything for you guys. If you want to work with us, check us out at npdigital.com. We really appreciate your time, and you can reach out to any of us. We're here to help.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye.
My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know
that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you.